Everybody, it's Dave Good, and we are rolling on a Sunday night. Happy Sunday night, everybody. I'm indoors once again, working in front of the new tapestry, and I've got these kind of new lights, and I'm trying to figure out how all this sort of works. And, I'd love to get some feedback from you. If you love it, let me know. Thumbs up. If you hate it, let me know, and I'll go back to the garage, okay? I teach people how to play the saxophone, and if you're looking for saxophone lessons, either Zoom or in person, love to help you out. Reach out to me at davegoodsax at gmail.com or leave a comment in the comment section below. davegoodsax at gmail.com. And we'll talk. Disclaimer, tonight's session is going to be all talking, no saxophone. And this isn't about any saxophone playing. It's got nothing to do with technique or any of that good stuff. So if you want to buzz out, you go right ahead. This is in response to a question from one of our subscribers named Marshall. 433 of you as of this recording. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all so much. Anyway, Marshall writes that, and it looks like Marshall would like to set up his own private lesson business and teach people how to play saxophone. Or maybe he's asking for somebody else. I don't know, but I thought it'd be a great lesson to have. Maybe some of you would like to teach saxophone. Maybe some of you already do. I have a little experience at this. Been doing it for about 8 years. I think I started the actual business itself. Well, I really got serious about a business in 2016. I've always played saxophone. Started when I was maybe 10 in the fourth grade. And it started in an alto sax, switched to baritone sax in high school, got a tenor sax. Been playing tenor sax pretty much for the last several years. I moved to this house. I bought this house in La Mesa about a decade ago, maybe 11, 12 years ago, somewhere in that ballpark. And there's a fine old music store in downtown La Mesa called McRae Music, MC, capital CREA. Been there for a long time. And I got to know the owner pretty well. And I bought an alto sax, really cool old Martin, Indiana alto sax, which I wish I still had. But I don't. That's a different story. And we just struck up a friendship, and I'd buy reeds or things like that from him. One day he said, "Would you cover some lessons?" One of our saxophone teachers fell ill, and we don't have anybody to help. And I said, "Okay, I'd like to do that." Now I had not taught saxophone lessons up to that point. I had taught at a post-secondary private school, and I also taught San Diego State College extended studies, and so I have a lot of experience, teaching, but I hadn't really taught private saxophone lessons. But I thought, hey, what the heck? I play sax. I know how to teach. I'll do it. And that's exactly how I started teaching saxophone. So anyway, I'm going to answer these questions, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit along the way here. First question is it possible nowadays to teach privately even with higher costs of living? Well, Marshall, that's a great question. Good place to start. And the answer is yes. Yes, it is possible to teach privately even with higher costs of living. This is what I do 100% of the time. For the last 30 years or so, my day job was writing about pop music for various magazines. And I did that like 27, 28, 29, something like that. Long time. And as that phased out, music got, music never went away, but, if you're going to be in the music business, you got to have a lot of lines in the water. You can't, if you're thinking that you're just going to make music, just playing music, you're going to be hungry. So I wrote about pop culture, interviewed a lot of musicians over the last 3 decades. Also did music television, and so that was, my approach. Music private lessons with a high cost of living. Yeah, but you got to have something else, okay? It takes a long time to build up a music studio. Hold on here, we're losing her. There we go. Second question is, if one is teaching privately, should they have multiple income streams? There you go. I anticipated your question, Marshall. Yeah. If you're doing anything in the music, I don't really think you can do just one thing. I think you need to have I think you need to diversify. Okay, I think you need to have, like I said, a few different lines in the water, and that's certainly how it worked for me over the years. How many students should one see in a week-to-week basis? Let me read that again. How many students should one see on a week-to-week basis? That's not a question that I can really answer for you. You have to figure that one out for yourself. How many students should one see? I think I've always kept my studio size to the number of students that I could do a good job with. But I know that if I exceed a certain number, my mental and physical health starts to decline, and I'm not really doing the job that I want to do for students. So there's a fine balance there between the income that you want to make versus the quality of the job that you can do. And that's your next lesson, right? The lesson that you just taught is your next lesson. The quality of what you do as a teacher is what draws new students, all right? I mean, there are a lot of gimmicks and things that you can do to advertise and all that sort of thing, but really it boils down to, are your students getting the results that they want, all right? All right, that's my take on it. Next question, how much should a teacher charge for private lessons? You should charge what you're worth, all right? And again, that's I can't answer that question for you, Marshall. Are you brand new at this? Are you good at it? Do you have a curriculum? For example, what do I do here? I've got a. Here's what I have. Where's my book here? I've been taking notes in these things for years and years and years. I write down everything my students do, and I keep journals. I write this, and I plan their lessons. I do lesson planning. I also if they reach out to me during the week and send me like a little YouTube video of something they're working on, I'll listen to that as well. So, it's not just the session time that I spend with the students. I spend time outside of. I think about my students when I'm not in session with them. So, how much should a teacher charge for a private lesson? I am not the least expensive teacher in my area. I charge, I ask for a pretty good fee, but you get a lot from me as a teacher. All right, so you have to figure that out for yourself. And you can also study the market, Marshall. You can also look around and see, what are other people? There's always going to be a range. $20 to $1.25. So whatever it is, I don't know. There'll always be a range, and figure out where you fit into that. Okay. I hope that answered your question. Should a teacher plan on collecting payments by lesson or once a month? And again, that depends on what you're comfortable with. I like to have my students reserve their space by paying for the month in advance. All right, you put up the month in advance. Now you've got some skin in the game, and you tend to want to show up. Although I do have good results with students who pay as they go. I've had students who pay as they go for years, and I don't have to remind them. The ones when I have to start reminding a student and sending a little reminder notice, that's when the rates go up. I mean, if I have to work more, then you gotta pay more, okay? It's a lot easier just to have that, that revenue event at the first of the month where the money comes in and you just have it. But again, you want to set your business up in any way that, makes good sense to you, okay? The last question, advantages and disadvantages to teaching at a store, house, or student home. Good question. We'll start with a student home. I made that mistake when I first started out of traveling to student homes, and what I learned is that the students just didn't seem to do as well. They were in their own little comfort zone, and there were things like there was siblings and dogs, and not that there's anything wrong with siblings and dogs, but lots of distractions in the house. It was really hard to get. And then you've got driving. What are we're sporting about $6 a gallon for gas now, so you have to put a surcharge on top of that. So you by all rights have to charge more to travel to somebody's home. Now, if that works out for you, they're good. I mean, if you're in Manhattan, and you've got a dense neighborhood and you can go up and down and hit a lot of people that way and not have to spend a lot of time on the road, perfect. In Southern California, we're spread out, baby. We're driving. I mean, there's a lot of driving from neighborhood to neighborhood, and that's not time that you can recover. You're in the car, so somebody has to pay for that if you're running a profitable business. Teaching at a store. Teaching at a store changed when the gig laws changed, and that's AB 5 or something like that, and it was designed to protect cab drivers, Uber drivers, and that sort of thing. And it ended up filtering all the way down to musicians, people that so I have to actually 1099 people in the band now. Oh my gosh! And some of the music stores that I was renting studios from, in order to comply, said, well, you got to be an employee now. So you have to actually, be on the payroll, and you have to work for us. And other duties as assigned came up, and yeah, it's not going to work. So renting a studio at a music store is, and again, as long as people understand that you're renting the studio and you're paying the money, right? You're paying the money for that room. Whether or not they show up, you still have to pay for that room. That's never very much money, but still, it adds up by the end of a month. And it's important that they understand that you're not just there anyway because you work for the music store. So I'm very clear. I do rent a studio at a music store. I love the music store. And I love being able to go, getting out of the house is wonderful. And going to a music store is kind of cool because they have everything downstairs that we need. Bust a spring, they got one. Books, they got them. Reeds, they got them. Whatever. Neck strap, something like that, And it really is helpful to have a fully stocked music store. And again, referrals will come from the music store as well. That's part of that's part of the game. If you're renting a studio from a music store, and you're not having to be an employee of the music store, you're running a studio, and you get to actually charge your market value for those lessons, and you're paying them once a month for the use of their studio space. They are going to refer business to you, and what you're going to do is be sending people in to buy their supplies, rent their horns, whatever it is, right? So it's a symbiotic relationship that's real good. Teaching at your house, I ran afoul of the noise police after several years of teaching. During COVID, we came here and taught online, right? And then the extension of that was building a studio in my garage. Well, the neighbors, in this particular neighborhood, they're old, and sometimes they pass away and the houses sell. And we've got some new neighbors, and they're a bit sensitive about, loud saxophone playing. And, one of them complained one day, and I did a little research and found out that it's actually not legal to have the kind of business where human beings come to your house in this neighborhood. So I thought, well, I'm going to rent a studio. So you got to be cool with the law. You got to actually find out if it's okay to actually have people. But, if you're teaching at your house and the neighbors are cool, they don't mind, they're good with the noise, whatever it is, or you can actually contain the noise, and you can, you're good with the law, or, whatever the ordinances are in your neighborhood. That's not such a bad way to go. The downside of that is now your house has become a waiting room. This is your house. This is where you live, right? And unless you built a studio like I did in the back into the garage, you got people sitting in your living room furniture and using your bathrooms and all that sort of thing. And you want to make sure that you have insurance, not homeowners insurance or not whatever, but you got to have extra liability insurance. Now it's cheap. I mean, you can buy $1 million for $150 a year, something like that. But you want to make sure that you have that because your homeowners insurance doesn't cover this kind of activity. So there are those considerations. There's some questions here that aren't asked that should have been asked, and I'm going to throw those at you, okay? We're at, we're almost at 15 minutes here, and that's a long video. Forgive me. A lot of stuff, a lot of ground to cover here. So I'm going to try to make this quick. Are you any good at running a business? This is a business. This is not my hobby. This isn't what I do. It's fun. I can't even consider this work. My life is so much better. And I'm so grateful for that day that the guy at the music store said, hey, would you help us out and cover lessons here? Because, we need some help. We really could use some help. I never would have considered doing that and had that not happened. So it was just serendipitous that it did. And I'm, I work every day on the business, on marketing, on bookkeeping. In fact, when we're done here, I'm going to do some bookkeeping, banking, tax accounting, and marketing. You're your own marketing person, right? And there are so many options for you to get into marketing. How do you find students? Well, you market. You got to put the word out, right? Get some business cards printed up. Get a Google presence, Google ads. You can do that. Facebook ads, you can do that. You want to make sure you have a presence, because most of my students, or the students I have come through Google. They've done a Google search, and the most common is saxophone lessons near me, right? And if you pay enough per click, if you set up enough budget, you can actually rank pretty high in Google, and that's important to people. It's not so much other than that you show up first in line. You're the first person, and they think that you're better, I guess, because you're first in line. So it's important to think about that. Learn as much as you can about marketing. Spend a long time learning about that. But make sure that you have a product. Make sure that you're good at this, that you actually have a good product, that you're a good teacher, and that you put a lot of time into your lessons and lesson plans. And right? Okay, I'm out of things to say. I'm at 16 minutes here, and I feel like I'm really burning the clock. So I want to just ring off here. Once again, if you'd like to talk to me, if you'd like to have a private lesson in setting up your business, if you want to become a music teacher, hey, people pick up the saxophone or clarinet or flute or whatever it is every day, every minute of every day. There's somebody, so there's plenty of business. There's no shortage of people that want to play, and great teachers. One-on-one teachers are so valuable. So, hey, we can talk about that. We can do lessons about playing saxophone, or we can do lessons about setting up your business. davegoodsax@gmail.com, or leave me a little comment below. So grateful. I'm so blessed that over 430 of you have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. And if you have any ideas for future, future little mini workshops like this one, please send them to me, okay? And I'll do my best to answer your questions, okay? So anyway, have a great week, and I will see you soon. Next time, I promise we'll do a saxophone lesson. Talk to you soon. Take care. Thanks for being there. Bye-bye.